You don't want to miss it. I'm not even kidding you, seriously. All right, boys, let's get straight into this. It has to be about Man United first up. I want to bring something up. Give me 1 second, because I think it'll create a good place to start this discussion. And it's just, when I tweeted this early in the morning, it just blew my mind what I was seeing. And I was just thinking, would this ever be acceptable at Chelsea? And obviously the boys had, commented off the back of that. And so Lyés, this is the state of play from young boys to the recent one, Man City. You guys have had 4 wins out of 12. I mean, and I put out the comment, would Thomas Tuchel survive this form at Chelsea, even with the UCL glory behind him? Just talk me through from the beginning, Lyés. How is he still here?
Miz, I mean, you're showing me the last 12 games. I can show you the last 3 seasons, honestly. And I think I've come onto your channel a lot, especially last season. And even when we were on that title challenge where we were first for about 14 days total, I still was never like, I think I told you this a few times. Since the Leipzig exit in the Champions League last season, I've been completely out on this guy. Like I never saw us challenging for trophies with this guy ever. I never anticipated.
This is true. You've actually never backed the guy completely.
Never. Yeah. And it's not to say like I told you so, but like for me, this doesn't shock. It shocks me a bit as to how bad it's gotten, because I even thought this season, I never thought we were going to be in a title challenge, but I still thought we would make top 4, because I look at a team with Ronaldo, with Varane, with Sancho, added on to a team that finished second last season. Even though it was a bit dubious, I thought, okay, there's enough in this team that no matter the manager's flaws, they should still have enough to come in the top 4. I thought that's the bare minimum. Yet here we are, I think 10, 11 games into the season, and our season is done in November. We have nothing left to play for as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I think Champions League, we'll get out of our group barring near disaster, but I don't see us beating any of Europe's elite. The Premier League is done. We're in a top 4 battle there. We've seen Ollie in these knockout stages. He doesn't have the tactical nous to go up against a Klopp, a Tuchel, a Pep Guardiola, and knock them out in that kind of game. So for me, we're in November.
He actually doesn't have a tactical nous. So I thought maybe some sort of tactical knowledge. He actually has nothing.
He has
Man City, I've never seen. I know we got beat in recent times against Man City, and they boxed us in as well. But I felt you guys were. City was playing with you guys.
It was different. It was different. I watched that Chelsea City game, and you guys did get outplayed. Like for me, City were the much better team. But the difference was on the day, you guys, it was almost your game plan that you wanted to be really compact, really deep, and really hard to break down. And for all of City's possession, they didn't create, if you remember that game, 10 wide open chances.
They did
against Manchester United, which has been the story of their season. Manchester United are so open. Like they want to play a defensive style of play, but they can't defend. And City found themselves in like 2v1 overloads on the wings, 2v1 overloads in the midfield. Every single position you look, City has 2 players, 3 players there, and United has 1. And that was domination. But Miz, you asked me, would Thomas Tuchel survive this form that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is in? Norwich have more points in the last 5 games, I kid you not, in the Premier League than Manchester United. Aston Villa are on a 5-game losing streak. They fired their manager. Norwich, I just named you them. They fired their manager. Spurs, who were ahead of us 2 weeks ago before we played them, with a worse team in the Conference League, a player who doesn't want to be there, and no expectations at all in the season. They lost to us, and they decided that's enough. We don't want this manager anymore. Losing to Ole is too much for us. And you look at United,
and also throw in Watford. They didn't even have a reason. They just sacked their manager just like that.
They have something going on for them firing a manager. It's in the clause or something. But we sit in a position now, 1-1-6 for United in the Premier League. The form is plummeting. The players are starting to turn on him. The fan base is on flames. But apparently it's not enough to sack him. And again, I go back to you said, would Thomas Tuchel survive this form? Miz, I remember doing a live stream with you last season. It was actually, I don't do live streams often just because for me, it's not really my thing, but I remember we did it. It was your first one as well. Leicester versus Chelsea. Leicester versus Chelsea. It was Frank Lampard's last Premier League game. And it was domination.
We got smashed.
You got destroyed. But I remember both of us were clearly in agreement. Yeah, this is Lampard's last game. He's not going past this moment. I think, in fact, they gave him the cup game the next, but it was done after that.
Yeah.
With Ole, 5-0 wasn't enough to get him out of the job. 2-0 against City isn't enough to get him out of the job. And I think the most worrisome part for me, and I'm sure we're going to talk about Antonio Conte, isn't that we didn't hire Antonio Conte. Because even for me, I have my doubts about if he could be the right guy for Manchester United. The problem is there is no plan whatsoever. We have no idea who the replacement is for Oli. We have no idea what it would take for him to even get fired. We have no idea if it's going to be an interim or a regular manager, who we're going to get in the summer. The board is making it up as they go along. And for me, that's even more worrisome than the form that we're in, because we're just a club that goes off instincts at this point. We're extremely reactive. And as a football club, that's the most amateur way you can be run.
Man, it's incredible. I mean, Scott, I want to get you into as well. Just, I suppose, someone outside of Man United just giving their thoughts. I was sort of thinking, off the back of what Lyés was saying, I mean, no plan whatsoever. The manager, I just don't even know whether they're even keen to sacking him. And then I started thinking, they just recently gave him a contract extension as well, like not that long ago, maybe about a month ago. And Scott, I just want to ask you, are they sort of worried that if they sack the guy now, they'll have mud in their face that what were we thinking about a month ago?
Mate, how much more, with all due respect to Lyés, because it seems like a much nicer guy than you two, but how much more mud can be in their face? At this point, they're a shade of the club that they used to be. It feels like they're on a massive downward spiral. I look at our scenario with Mikel Arteta, right? Arteta, Oli, both, I would say, novice managers for this level. They've come in and I feel like the difference between the two is that Arteta's taken a long time, but at least he's learnt from some of his mistakes. Now, we are playing Lacazette up front. We needed someone more physical. He's trusting Emile Smith-Rowe to kind of run the attack. He went and bought the centre-back that we desperately needed to partner with Gabriel White. He's learnt from his mistakes. My criticism is that sometimes it takes him a bit too long. But I look at Oli. I look at the players he has at his disposal, the facilities he has at his disposal.
You guys don't have the same facility. Like your players are nowhere near their players.
I feel like he's not learning. And I'm past the point of banter with Man United now.
It's almost pity. It's just sadness.
No, because we've fallen. Like Arsenal have fallen from being one of England's elite and a staple of European football, and we've fallen to the point where we've had to really kind of start fighting back. And God knows what will happen this season. But I feel like they're starting their fall, and if they don't make some changes soon, it could take them a while to get back into where they deserve to be as a big club.
I mean, RJ, I want to get you into this now. I was going to... Something was completely lost my track of I was going to say something, but RJ, maybe I'll just remember. There was a particular point I wanted to make, but what's your thoughts on Man United? And it's crazy how they're probably not even going to make top four the way they're going right now. I mean,
it's a funny one, isn't it? Because perspective's important here. Lyés said he's been watching Oli for 3 years now, and he's appreciated the ups and downs of the Oli reign. And
that's one way of putting it, appreciating.
Yeah, exactly. Look, we've got a Man United co-host as well on our other show, and he's very passionate. He tells it how it is too. Don't get me wrong, but his sentiment is, on balance of things, he's seen an overall progression, not through titles or anything like that, but in terms of overall finishes, etc. But the identity of the team is just not there at the moment. I see some similarities with what you're saying, Scott, about Arsenal have had a very sharp decline in recent years. It's taken them a very, very long time to become in the relevant conversation again. I'm not sure that United are in the same intensity or predicament at the moment, but there's definitely signs of that problem arising. And while I don't think it's as intense, is because they've got far superior backing financially, and it should never get to as bad as where Arsenal have ended up. But the longer the problem, which is so glaringly obvious, doesn't get addressed, you look at Chelsea's situation, and Lampard is my favourite, always will be. They acted swiftly. They ripped the Band-Aid off. The context was before he got fired, it was about a handful of bad games in January and the back end of December. Before that, 17 games unbeaten, top of the league. Then the ship got a bit of a hole in it and the water started to gape in. We better plug that hole and get rid of him. Acting swiftly is what big clubs do, or what not even big clubs, what good clubs do. They recognize a problem, they act on it. United, they're proactive. You're right, but it's not even just about. It's not Football Manager. You replaced a manager, it's all problem solved. It extends far back because I hear some rumors, and obviously I'm not the United expert here, but apparently he doesn't even have full autonomy over the decisions that are made, i.e., he didn't really want Ronaldo to come in there. He had his own vision for who he wanted. Ronaldo's come in because he's a global conglomerate superstar. He's a world-class talent.
I don't even
He's going to
think
improve
any Man
goals.
United fans even wanted Ronaldo
But
to
the
be honest. That
opportunity
wasn't
was
even in the
there.
plan.
He's an
Commercial-
opportunity signing.
He's an opportunity signing, and who's going to turn back a world-class talent that's a commercial megastar? But the reality is, has his individual quality offset the natural balance of the team? And that's where, unfortunately, Ollie, although he's not a tactical, smart guy, he's been put between a rock and a hard place here because how much of these decisions really rest on him, or is he just a puppet boy who has to face the media? I don't know, but all I know is if it doesn't change soon, mid-table mediocrity is something that this season is a real prospect, but it's only 11 games in, so perspective is important.
I think
Go on, bro.
go ahead.
Yeah.
No,
Go
I
on,
was
go
going to
on.
say, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think the word is ambition. And Chelsea fired their manager last season. It's their greatest ever player, Frank Lampard.
Oh, yeah.
And they fired their manager because he was not reaching their expectations. Every team before the start of the season has goals and ambitions. Chelsea's last season, I know, was the challenge for the league with all their new signings. Obviously, it was just too much to gel at one point. It was also too early in Lampard's managerial career to be able to handle all those big players. It was honestly, Miz, it was a bit like the Ollie situation in that he had a team the year before that he really trusted, and all of a sudden he's given Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, fix it, find a way of getting your team last year of these guys. It was too early for him, but Chelsea understood they have goals, they have ambitions they want to reach. They saw a world-class manager become available on the spot in Thomas Tuchel, and they made the move. Aston Villa, this season, their goals and ambitions were to challenge for European places. They lost Jack Grealish, but they brought in all these great players, just Buendia, Ings, etc., etc. They're 5 games on 5-game losing streak now. They're in almost near the relegation zone. That's enough for us. We're not going to reach our ambitions if we continue this guy. Norwich, 0 wins in 20 in the last 20 Premier League games. They're going down with this guy. They decide that's enough. Man United, the problem is here. This is why they won't fire Ollie this week, then the week after, the week after. The problem with Manchester United is that they have assembled a star-studded world-class 11 and squad, but they don't have the ambitions to match that. Manchester United and the Glazers have always been about make top 4. Van Gaal was only fired once top 4 was mathematically impossible. David Moyes was only fired the day that it became mathematically impossible. Jose Mourinho was only fired once it became 11 points off 4th. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, I think, 3 points off top 4 right now, which at the moment still meets their expectations and goals. So until this guy is sitting in 10th, 15 points off 4th, we're stuck with this guy.
Nowhere.
Because at the moment, we bought all these great players and the fans had all these goals and hopes that we could win the title. But the board was never like, okay, it was never make or break for the title for them this season. So for them, I don't think he is exactly, it's all about the money. They just want that top 4 money. So as long as he is still in and around that top 4 area, they're not going to really care. I think the only thing that goes against him is Cristiano Ronaldo. And Cristiano Ronaldo is not a guy who wants to be playing Europa League football. Neither is Rafael Varane, for the matter. And if anyone can get him out of a job, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. But will Ronaldo at this age be the guy pushing for his former teammate and be his manager's sacking? I don't know. But I think that's the only thing that kind of goes against it. But other than that, I think for me, he's in a comfortable place for the Glazers right now. It hasn't gotten bad enough.
No, 100%. I just remembered what I wanted to say previously as well. When I hear a particular manager, you guys are going to have a mad laugh on this one. As soon as I hear a manager post-match say, I want the players to express themselves, I want the players to go out there and be free, I tune out. I'm like, dude, you got no idea what you're talking about. As soon as I hear those sort of words, I'm like, you are not fit for the job. Because if you
it's an accountability problem, isn't it? Really, it's almost like you've transferred ownership over. Well, my tactics didn't work, but it's only because you guys weren't creatively good enough to come up with your own solutions.
And
That's
it's
how
not
I
just-
see it.
Ole cannot articulate. I don't know what he does to the players because we can never see that. But in the press conference, you look at someone like Thomas Tuchel, and I know Pep Guardiola and Klopp are probably, they've been doing it for a long time. But someone like Thomas Tuchel, whose English isn't the first language, but still very well spoken, how well he articulates tactically what he's doing. Just recently against Newcastle, he said, my assistant said, sorry, that was against Malmo. But in the Newcastle one, at halftime, he tweaked it a little bit as soon as the second half started. Malmo one specifically, he said the assistant told me to switch Callum on the right side and Ziyech on the left side, because just to give them that extra bit of time to take it on their favorite foot, which was Callum's right and Ziyech's left. Even though the preference for both of them was to cut back into their favorite foot, they just thought that maybe for that particular game, it was better to get that extra bit of millisecond to get the ball onto their favorite foot and maybe beat the defenders. It was so good to hear a manager like that talk like that. I just want to ask Lyés, when you hear Ole Gunnar Solskjaer talk in the press conference, I can't take this guy seriously because he cannot put anything tactically together to make the fans understand what he's trying to do. I don't even think at times he understands what he's doing. I feel like he pretty much tells the players, go out there, you guys are very smart individuals, you should know what to do to win a match. Like, is that the vibe that you get, Lyés?
It's actually funny. When I was on the football terrace last, actually, they do it was before the match weekend, so they do a game on their show. And this week on Friday, it was did Ollie say it or not? And they basically had these crazy quotes that it was either his quote or not his quote. And I actually went in there. I was like, okay, let me give this guy the benefit of the doubt.
You guys are ruthless, man.
I was like, I was trying to be fair on him. I was like, listen, let me I think I know Ollie for the most part. I'm sure he didn't say that. Some of the stuff this guy comes out with in press conferences, to the point now where I don't even watch them, to be honest with you, because it's quite painful to listen to this guy talk about football at the end of the game, because you want to hear this guy with some emotion, with some insight on how the game was won or lost, on how his tactical plan for the game was broken down or how it worked. And this guy is giving us stuff like, the players put a really good shift in, unlucky yet. It's just give me a break. But for me, I look at a guy now with Ollie that, if you've noticed, and here's one thing I want to kind of talk about, because for me, I feel that his biggest fans, because Ollie has a lot of fans on Twitter. Trust me, I go back and forth with them every single day.
But see, man, people go at you.
Yeah,
what is that?
Man. Listen, man, I'm kind of guilty because my first reaction is just to go right back at them. But anyways, I will say this: a lot of Ollie fans, they are dwindling in the numbers, but their main thing right now at the moment is, these players are the same ones that gave up on Jose. They're starting to give up on Ollie. They're mercenaries. They can't be trusted. They don't have great work rate. The amount of times Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been on the verge of getting fired, and players like Bruno, players like Rashford, players like Martial, players like Pogba have dragged this guy out of the mud and won him games that he had no right to be in and saved his job. I've been on record. I think Ollie owes 50% of his salary to Bruno Fernandes, probably 25% of it to Rashford, and at the moment, probably the other 25% to Ronaldo these days, who's making.
The guy's not taking anything home.
Yeah, you're not taking anything home. But anyways, I don't look at a group of players that have lost, that don't want to play for Ollie, because I think if anything, this is probably, they like him a lot more than they like Mourinho, but it's a group of players that are lost. Tactically, they're confused. They have no idea where to be. The City game for me said it all. They didn't seem like they weren't playing for Ollie. They just have no idea to where to be, because there's no structure. There's no shape to the team that you have to be here when the ball goes here. You have to be here when the ball goes there.
Clueless.
You need to be compact in the middle of the pitch at all times. It's just a bunch of players vibing for 90 minutes.
I feel like, though, thinking about your players, and obviously this is the way modern football is. The first port of call is always the manager. The manager is going to cop the blame. The manager is going to be the first one to go. You're not going to see players getting sacked for underperformance. However, I do think in that squad, there are some players who really are underperforming and who are letting Ollie down to an extent. I feel like Ollie's tactics are awful. but I feel like there are some players who really are becoming a liability.
Who would you say?
Harry Maguire being
Harry
one
Maguire,
of them.
yeah.
Since his injury,
Question.
he's been awful.
Question for you, just because I know who you're going to say. You're going to say Harry Maguire. You're probably going to say Luke Shaw. If I had to guess, probably I don't know, Fred would probably be one of those guys. Here's the issue, Scott. You're 100% right. Those players are in the Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw are in the worst form of their Manchester United careers. And Luke Shaw, that's saying something because he's been bad for us at times. But this is for me one of the biggest problems with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He has a trusted group of 8 players in this team that no matter how poorly they play, they are in the 11 every single week. Harry Maguire was literally on one leg before the Leicester game. He could not play, and you watched it. He was at fault for all 4 goals. All 4 of them. You can go look back. Harry
That was
Maguire
the Leicester one, right? That was the Leicester one.
He played a back 3. So 3 center backs, and he was still selected over Eric Bailly, who we just gave a 3-year contract to last season. So it still goes back to Ollie, because I agree, these players are terrible at the moment, literally unplayable, yet they have a God-given right to start every single game because Ollie doesn't trust Van de Beek, or he doesn't trust Eric Bailly, or he doesn't trust Alex Telles, who, for the record, 2 of those guys are his signings, who he's completely neglected, left out the window, and honestly, for me, it's professional manslaughter what he's done to the likes of Sancho, Van de Beek, Telles. These are all players he spent major money on.
I keep forgetting that you guys have Sancho. Honestly, I keep forgetting.
£73 million. We tracked him for 3 seasons, and he can't get into the 11 because Ollie doesn't know how to play a 4 in the back.
You've even got a guy like, and I know you're probably going to laugh at me for saying it, but you've got a guy like Juan Mata, who has won everything there is.
Is he still at Man United?
He's still. Is there no role for him whatsoever? I don't see how he could do worse than some of the players that are performing at the moment. I can't understand why a guy who's literally won titles and he's won it to like across Europe, how he can't get into the team at all. Donny van der Beek, the treatment of him and the way he's been managed has been atrocious. I feel like Ollie, honestly, the fact that opposition fans are so happy he's there says it all, really. It says it all, that we're all stoked he's still in the job.
It's incredible, honestly. I just remembered, Sancho is a player that if football Twitter was all over Sancho, and now I think barely anyone tweets about him. If they do, it's about just banter, that what's happened with Sancho. Donny van der Beek, I don't know if you guys saw the episode for
Vibe with 5.
Was it? Vibe with 5, that's it. Rio Ferdinand. And Donny van der Beek's episode was there not that long ago, and he looked like a broken man. And to a point where even Rio was being sympathetic that dude needs some playing time. And it's incredible.